What is going on, YouTube people? New York Cards and Comics here. Today, for another edition of the weekly sports card market update. Catching up on news, reviewing some hot button things from earlier in the week, and even some charts and graphs. I am finally feeling better, probably rolling in here at about 90%. Much better spot than I was last week at this time. As you were all watching this, I am probably roaming around my local show in Canton, Ohio. I missed my one last week because I was not feeling well. Big show weekend all around. This is the Dallas show this weekend. Also, the Chicago Sports Spectacular is going on this weekend. I haven't talked to anyone from Chicago. I talked to a few people from Dallas that said, as always, it was very busy. There was a lot of interesting commentary floating around social, and I talked to some people at the Dallas show as well that back this up directly. Basically, the vibe was, and I may dive into this deeper this week, that it wasn't the best show as an attendee because there wasn't, I don't want to say much, that's not really the right word, but basically anything worthwhile is getting gobbled up by the repackers. So people attending the show are having problems finding, even semi-solid deals on stuff. And then the dealers are having inventory problems buying because the repackers are paying stronger than what the dealers are. So everyone's selling to those guys. The repackers are going around and buying from the dealers. So the traditional card show attendee and the traditional dealer, in a weird sort of way, are kind of caught in the crosshairs of repack mania. So I don't really know what that all means or what the ramifications of that are. I know, I attend the Ship Shawana show as often as I can. See it there all the time. This is something I've been talking about for a very long time. The impact that repacks and the buyers of inventory for repacks are having on the entire sports card market as a whole. And it's just kind of put everything in a interesting spot. Like I said, maybe we'll dive deeper onto that this week. If you all witnessed that sort of nonsense out at the shows that you are attending. We have Chantilly in a couple weeks. I have not booked anything, but that show is very much on my radar in regards to attempting to attend it. I probably won't be able to make a formal call on that until about a week before, just because of some work nonsense. But my lean is to do everything in my power to attempt to get to that Chantilly show coming up. I believe it's like April 4th to 7th or something like that. Before we forget, today's video is sponsored by channel partner COMC, as they sponsor all the weekly sports card market updates for the past few months. They currently have a NHL promotion going on. The MLB promotion is now over, but they do have a hockey promotion. So if you are out there ripping some Series 2, you could take advantage of 30% off select and elite hockey submissions. That does stack with the old fresh pulls, which allows you to get the stuff on there even cheaper. I know that 150, 160 card order that I sent in has already been completely processed and everything uploaded to the site, and I've already sold quite a few stuff off that. This past week, I hit a mini milestone. I hit $4,000 in sales on COMC, and that is mostly from me sending in cards. Very little of that is from buying and flipping on platform. That's just the way I choose to do it. I know a lot of people buy and flip on platform. I go with more the send in route. But yeah, I just creeped over 4,000 in sales. I think it's like $4,020 or maybe even 4,100 now in sales on COMC. That's lifetime. So that's taken me about a year and a half to build that up. That's when I started sending stuff in pretty regularly. It was about a year ago. And I actually just snagged a CJ Stroud Silver Prism PSA 10 off the site for $900. I got it for. They've been going between $925 and $950 on eBay. I plucked one for $900. I am going to have that shipped home. The plan for that is bait for the National. I'm just going to kind of sit on that and let it ride. If the Texans would grab someone, if they would make some splashy move on or before the draft to upgrade with a major wide receiver or something like that, and his price would spike because of that, I would consider moving it earlier. But that is me attempting to start to get some pieces for the National. I did not play the off-season game like, Flipping Steve has been doing over on his channel. Tremendous work out of him with the Kyler Murray plays, and even, we'll talk about it in a little bit, Sam Darnold stuff. I chose not to go that route. I kind of missed my buying windows, so I am starting to think about who are potential players that are going to be popular at the National, and I just have to imagine that CJ Stroud is going to be towards the top of that list. So I just picked that up. I'll have that shipped home here in a week. I'm going to wait. I have some auctions that I'm eyeing up that end on Monday that I want to see if I snag any of that stuff before I have that Stroud shipped home so I can tack it on with it. The talk of the town this week and the news segment was grading, and specifically card cleaning was the absolute hot button topic of the week. Everyone had to get their videos out. Everyone's talking about it. Everyone's taking sides. This is probably the most in focus this has ever been. As I joke, this topic comes around about every 6 months. Something brings it back into the limelight. This is definitely the most focus that it's ever gotten, at least that I can think of. Maybe even more so than when the Evan Mathis trimming thing was going on about a year or so ago, whenever that popped up. But right now, it is all over the place. It's still getting talked about all over the place. And, nothing really new to say here. As we've talked about a billion times, the grading companies can't really catch it. I don't think they really want to catch it. So it's pretty much all systems go, basically. If PSA really, really, really wanted to crack down on this, they would have decertified the Wemby. That would have been the shot across the bow to scare the hell out of everybody. That was never going to happen. It'll be interesting to see if anyone starts getting dinged for surface substances or something in submissions over the next month or so they can make a small show of force to maybe slightly scare people. But I doubt it. I doubt that happens. So it is what it is. Nothing's going to change. It's basically status quo. Basically status quo. All the content made about it, all the talking about it, nothing really changed at all. Unless, like I said, unless one of the other grading companies comes out and says something crazy, which I don't see happening. The other thing PSA snuck out on us, I talked about it yesterday, was a PSA pricing special mid-month, a little bit of a surprise one there. Pretty decent. Like I said, I probably won't be taking advantage of it. I don't really have any cards to send in right now. I do have a small update regarding PSA. I did hear back from the customer service team regarding my damaged card. I got a shipping label sent to me, and I packaged that up and sent that out. I will talk more about that in a video probably coming up Monday or Tuesday this week. It's already recorded. Just about ways to protect yourself when submitting cards to grading. Like I said, that one's already in the books, but that card is shipped off. I dropped it off actually earlier today on Saturday. So I don't know. It'll probably take at least another week or two before I have an update on this. This is definitely going to take some time to play out. But that is where we currently sit with that. I've been getting a lot of messages asking if I had heard anything back from them yet. But I finally did late this week to ship the card back to them. On the flip side of the grading, SGC, I saw some comments on the video yesterday with the PSA special talking about, here we go. PSA is getting the special and SGC's not. This is a classic special that SGC would run out there. And listen, I am on team SGC potentially gets gobbled up and absorbed into PSA, and SGC doesn't really exist as a brand in a few years. But all you got to do is use a little bit of common sense here. Let's not overthink this one. SGC could not run a special if they wanted to. SGC has a real turnaround time problem right now. Peter addressed it in a video the previous week, but I am hearing more and more people complaining about this. I'm seeing more and more posts on social about what is the point of SGC if I can't get my cards back fast. PSA is getting cards back faster on some of these special orders than SGC currently is. That is a problem for Pete and the team down there. This was always one of the concerns. Their biggest advantage was the speed. The second they lost the speed, a lot of people are now side-eyeing going, what am I really doing here? When if you're not getting me the card back in a week, I could just send the PSA and it's taking the same amount of time. And like I said, in some cases faster. I got my last PSA order back faster than people were getting SGC orders back. So that really shines a light on the things when you lose that speed edge. And that's the reason why you're not getting a special out of SGC. People would murder them if they ran a $9 special right now or any type of special right now, because they're already slow getting cards back. They need to get that edge back. And maybe they were too fast for their own good there for a while and set unreasonable expectations. And now people are fired up that, they are slipping. I mean, you're looking at 3 to 4 weeks in some cases for orders to be coming back from SGC at the time being. We'll see what happens once they get that cleared up. As I've talked about before with the gem rate numbers, it's going to be very, very intriguing to watch them April into May, into June, to kind of see what their monthly numbers look like. Do they start to tail off with PSA getting faster, with the anti-collectors, anti-PSA people out there not wanting to use SGC anymore? We shall see. We shall see. And do they run out any new improvements, any new modifications to anything, new slabs, new tech, whatever the case might be? All these things are going to be signs to us on what collectors' ultimate goal is with this company. Next up, just a little reminder. We are now at the end of March, or middle of March. We're just past the Ides of March. The National's coming quick. If you have not finalized your stuff or gotten things in order, you might want to start doing that. It's going to be the end of July before you know it. Basically 4 months away. We are 4 months and a week away from the National. So if you are planning on attending, on the fence, thinking about attending, you might want to start putting the wheels in motion if you haven't. If you're planning on attending and haven't booked anything yet or anything like that, or unsure, search Cleveland National on my YouTube channel. I did a video last year that was like a travel guide to the Cleveland National that kind of laid everything out for you for the surrounding area, things to keep in mind, things to consider. Go check that video out. I don't really get into specifics on hotels because at the time I recorded it, a lot of stuff could change. And I really haven't had a lot of uses for Cleveland hotels because I live so close, but it'll at least give you some geographical areas to keep in mind. And maybe I'll do something updated when we get closer to about like places to eat and things like that to put on your radar. But this is just your little reminder. If you haven't yet, you might want to start locking some things into place. Let's pop over, look at some charts and graphs in Market Movers. If you want access to your own charts and graphs, the link is in the description down below. You can get yourself a 2-week trial, and you can get yourself 20% off your subscription fee for life. First up, football. NFL offseason, full swing. Free agency week. We are fast approaching the NFL draft as well. I'm sure we'll see some more movement in trades. Where does Justin Fields end up? Does any of the other teams make a splash for skilled players? But as players have switched teams, prices have moved. We're just going to touch on a couple of the main ones that kind of shook things up. One of the bigger ones, and I don't know from an actual football perspective how much of a difference this is really going to make. He looked pretty washed last year, but name-wise and to team-wise, it was probably the splashiest. That was one Danger Russell Wilson to the Steelers. big name quarterback, even though he doesn't necessarily have the talent too much these days, to a big name team, the Steelers, and his prices moved accordingly. About a 30% bump across the board on one Mr. Russell Wilson. I have a couple different versions of his top's chrome, his refractor, all here. And those all saw a nice, significant jump up. He is not the only one that switched teams this week. One Mr. Sam Darnold, flipping Steve's boy, or former boy. He switched teams. His stuff is going up. Looks like he's going to get a chance to start again. All sorts of craziness here. Base Prism up 270%. Green Prism up 75%. Downtown up 25%. A lot of his autos and stuff are way up. To the moon, baby. Sam Darnold is taking us to the moon. You gotta love the NFL offseason. If you are an offseason guru and you know like which big name players are going to get cut and potentially move teams and all that, and you can map that all out, you could probably do pretty well flipping low dollar stuff in volume. Towards the end of the season, start loading up on these guys, stock your COMC account full of them, and then just sit back and wait for the chaos to play itself out. Because like clockwork, when these guys switch teams, you see these 20, 30, 40% jumps, sometimes even higher. It's a lot of times it's small dollar cards. It's a $15 card going to a $30 card. It's a $50 card going to a $70 card. It's a $5 card going to a $25 card. If you're willing to put the time in and grind it out, you could probably be very, very profitable chasing this stuff. I mean, it's every year. It's the same thing over and over and over again. Saquon Barkley was another one. Optic Downtown up about 10%. His Optic Hollow up about 10%. A lot of his autos are up quite a bit. A lot of his Contenders autos are up. I know, once again, Steve had a nice flip on a Saquon Barkley Contenders auto. Big name, big flashy name, going to a big flashy team is a recipe for card prices going up. Like I said, I don't think we're done. I have a feeling there'll probably be one or two more surprise moves. I have no idea what they are. Like I said, Justin Fields is kind of a man without a home right now. Does a team make a move for him? Is there a good spot for him to land where his prices could spike? Does a team make a surprise move for a big name skill position player? I think that is still potentially in play. And then we're going to start getting closer and closer to the NFL draft. Does something splashy happen there? I don't know what's going on with the Chargers. Justin Herbert has no weapons left. I'm guessing they have the 5th pick. Guessing they're taking a wide receiver with that 5th pick, either Harrison or Neighbors. We'll see. Do they make some sort of other move now that Keenan Allen and Mike Williams are both gone? A lot of crazy stuff happening out there in the NFL free agency streets. Let's pop over and talk a little basketball. We are kind of in the no man's land of the season. We're post trade deadline, post All-Star break. We're not quite to the playoffs yet. Everyone's looking at football and everyone's looking at baseball. And basketball is just kind of meh as we rapidly approach the NBA offseason. We were about a month away from playoff games coming into our lives full swing. I was just curious. I just blew this out over the last 90 days to see how much pricing has been moving on some of the bigger name players, and then just kind of a little bit of a check-in. It's kind of interesting. Really not a ton of movement across the board. As I kind of talked in Friday's video, things do feel fairly stable. You look at Lucas Silver PSA 10. It's sitting at 1.1K currently, down about 8%. But as I've discussed multiple times throughout the NBA season, this has basically been a $1,200 card one way or the other since the National almost. It might have been a little bit higher back then, but basically plus or minus 10%. This card's been very, very steady. Jason Tatum's actually gone up quite a bit, up 30%. over the last 90 days. A lot of that is on the backs of the Celtics being an absolute monster of a team. But they keep getting punked by the Nuggets every time they run into them. So we'll see if they do make the NBA Finals, can they get over that hump? The Joker, just been slow and steady. Dead at 3K, has not gone up, has not gone down. SGA has been one of the big winners of the season. He's up 42%, and he is an MVP frontrunner. Joker's probably going to win it, but SGA has a hell of a case for the award as well. One of the more surprising things here, Zion down about 20%. Ja Morant down about 10%. Ja being down, not surprising. He hasn't played in months. The thing that I was perplexed by was Ja's Silver Prism is going for $400. He's hurt, done for the season. He hardly played at all this year, and then had all the chaos last year with the gun stuff. He is still selling for $50 more than a Zion Silver. A Zion Silver is going for $350. Going for $50 less than the Ja. And Zion and the Pelicans, you probably haven't noticed, they're actually having a pretty good year. The Pelicans have been playing great the last couple of weeks. Zion's had a very, very solid but quiet season. And nobody cares. Remember when this guy was going to take us to the moon and back again? And he was going to save basketball and save sports cards and all this other nonsense? Now, back then, when he hadn't done anything, people wanted to chase his cards to the moon and back again. Now, the guy's actually playing good, on a good team, establishing their position for the playoffs, been healthy pretty much all year long, and nobody cares. Nobody wants his cards now. It is wild. You can't make this stuff up. You cannot make this stuff up. This should be a lesson. Just file this one away. Zion was the most hyped thing ever. This card sold for like $2,000 at one point in time. Yes, he had health problems, weight issues, all the nonsense. Now, he's stabilized. He's had a fantastic season under his belt. Nobody cares about his cards. Painting with a broad brush here, a little hyperbolic, but you get my point. His cards are selling less than Ja Morant. When Ja Morant has missed basically the entire season and missed a decent portion of last season with off-the-court concerns. Overblown off-the-court concerns? Yes, I agree. But off-the-court concerns nonetheless. Just keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. The once hyped player actually playing really, really good, having a really good season, and nobody cares about his card prices. Baseball. Speaking of the air coming out of the balloon, Jackson Holiday, Jackson Chourio. Remember just a couple weeks ago, these guys, they were going to carry everything. They were the second coming of everybody. Their prices were on the upswing. Spring training has started. We are well into it. They're playing fine, but the hype has begun to worn off already, and their prices are already starting to slow down. You can see on the graphs over the last 60 days. This is Chourio and Holiday's Refractor and Base Bowman Autos. Both peaked right at the end of February, beginning of March, and have since all pulled back from the highs of the late February, early March time frame, as people have moved on to other fancier, sexier names that have gone absolutely crazy in the spring. People are already on these guys. And they're probably going to make the majors. They're probably going to start the season up. I'm not so sure about Holiday, but Chourio for sure should make it. And people are already on to the next shiny object. Now, if these guys come out and play hot to start the season, their cards are going to go to the moon again. Everyone will be all fired up, chasing them again. But it's just interesting to see how quickly the Eye of Sauron shifts. It was once on Chourio and Holiday, and it has moved over to one Wyatt Langford of the Texas Rangers. He is the one now that is the chosen one. He is the one that is getting all the green in their graphs going up. Everyone talking about him, everyone chasing him, and justifiably so. He has absolutely crushed the ball all spring long, and his prices have been rewarded. This is over the last 60 days. He is basically up about 30% across the board. This is his base auto up to $900 and his refractor auto up to $2K. If you go over and look at Holiday, he's basically selling in a refractor auto the same as Holiday, a little less on the Chrome base auto, and then well more than Churio in both categories. Like I said, Langford's been absolutely smashing the baseball, flying up draft orders in fantasy baseball as well. Crazy how quickly people move along from one thing to the next. A lot of other prospects are going up too. I know me personally, being here in Ohio, paying attention to Indian spring training. Chase DeLautner's had a very good spring. His stuff is up. I think it's Angel Martinez for the Guardians has been having a very good spring training. His stuff is up quite a bit. A lot of low-level prospects and mid-tier prospects are seeing bumps in price. It's not just the top guys like Wyatt Langford, Churio, and Holiday. We'll see how the spring closes out here over the last week or two as we start the season. Major league rosters begin to take shape and see if we get any surprises. Does someone end up making a team that they did not think was going to happen? It seems like it's pretty clear cut, but I don't know. If Langford ends up making the team right out of the gate, along with Churio and Holiday, as I talked about when we were ripping Topps Series 1, Topps Chrome is setting up to be an absolutely insane product later this summer. If this plays out correctly, you would have Ellie, you would have Dominguez, you would have Carter. Everyone forgetting about Evan Carter because of Wyatt Langford. Wyatt, if he ends up making it, which he's probably gonna start the season with the majors, plus Churio, plus Holiday. And that's not even getting into the next crop down, and that's not even considering who's going to come out of nowhere. Topps Chrome baseball this year is setting up to be one of the most hyped products of the year. I hope it launches at the National. I think that would be a cherry on top as well if that ends up happening. We also should have a Bowman release coming up pretty quickly here in late April, early May sometime. No firm date on that yet. But we're only a couple weeks away from real life baseball action. It feels good to have the games on in the background again. I like having my favorite thing to do is just listen to baseball on the radio, throw Tom Hamilton on. It is some of the best background noise out there just to have on while I'm roaming around the house doing other stuff. It's great. Just makes you feel the warm weather even though it's not quite here yet. That's all I got for you boys and girls today. We'll catch you on the next one. Peace.